Hello everybody and welcome back to Writing the Rapids, the show where I, Joe Bielecki, talk to writers about writing. Very often those writers have been recommended to me by writers who have previously been on the show, or it's a Rejoinder episode, which this is. We are once again joined by Tex Gresham to talk about SARA. SARA is a short film Tex is working to get funded. Previously he had an Indiegogo campaign that didn't meet its goal, so I talked to him in between then and now. We thought he was maybe going to do a new Indiegogo campaign, but instead we have a campaign through cinematography for actors. I will have all of the relevant links in the show notes. Just know when we talk about Indiegogo, we really mean cinematography for actors. Otherwise, like and subscribe and enjoy our conversation. So we're here to talk about SARA, a short film you're hoping to get funded. So I don't know, give me the SARA elevator pitch, I suppose.
So SARA is about a man. The elevator pitch is SARA is about a man who is in a life or death cat and mouse game with his 10-year-old stepdaughter, new stepdaughter. She's 10 years old, and she has more in common with Patrick Bateman than Peppa Pig.
Cool. And in the comparable projects, this will take all my like movie cred away. I have seen only We Need to Talk About Kevin.
That's a good one. Honestly, that's the one that I'm like, when I was watching it, I was like, this is, because I hadn't seen it before I sort of before I wrote this thing. And then I saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is scratching that same itch that I want to sort of scratch as well. So you saw a good one.
Good. Cool. What is it about that movie, like specifically, that really tugged at your creative juices?
I think the way it sort of like it's like plays with this idea of like, we're watching this woman who is like, her experience with a child is completely different than what another person's experience with a child is, but it's like that child wants this person that he is being cruel to more than he wants the people he's being nice to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's sort of like, that's along the lines of what SARA is, is like, I won't give too much away, but it sort of is like, she needs this guy who is slowly realizing he wants nothing to do with her more than she needs other people.
Mm-hmm.
And why and all that stuff is, in there. But yeah, and I think the cruelty of a child, of how a child can be cruel sometimes, is very well done, and it feels honest and truthful in We Need to Talk About Kevin. Whereas like I feel like a lot of movies where, the bad seed genre, the kids are just like evil in a way that's like cartoonish or Tales from the Crypty.
Mm-hmm.
And We Need to Talk About Kevin is feels like clinical and things like that. I had a child psychologist read SARA and told me that I sort of hit the nail on the head with how a child, they can't really diagnose a child like with a certain type of like, apathetic personality disorder or whatever, they can't really do that. But he was like, these are the exact kinds of kids we study in when we have to learn about that. So it was like, that made me feel really good that I'm kind of touching that same ground of like creating a kid who is genuinely what a clinically not good kid would be, I guess.
Yeah, someone who's antisocial, but they can't help it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Not a byproduct of like, something that happened to them.
mm-hmm,
Kevin is not a byproduct of something that happened. Kevin is a person who is like that, and it's
mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I think that's kind of, yeah, what I'm.
Yeah, the sort of tagline I see is she didn't mean to do it. Um which is
Hmm.
interesting. The thing about we need to talk about Kevin for me was that the was that Tilda Swinton
Hmm.
who was the mother? Okay. The Tilda Swinton's character um was like, and I'm gonna be fair. The film kind of only really shows her at her worst moments. But she didn't
Hmm.
seem like a particularly good parent either, right? So like,
Right.
um, you know, uh there's a moment kind of like fairly on in the movie when just like toddler infant Kevin is screaming and you kind of see her face and you see this look on her face like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
um which is like a fantastic way of setting the stage for the film, for the rest of the
Hmm.
film. um Talk about writing this. I feel like when we had you on before, we were mostly talking about your books, but we talked about Mustard and we steered into screenwriting a little bit. And I feel like you talked about how your screenplays up until that point were kind of not like your fiction. Um, and SARA seems more in line with what I remember your books being.
Yeah. SARA is based on a short story that's in my collection, Violent Candy.
Okay.
And so I've been working on it. I've been working on the SARA script for a long time. It's gone through so many iterations. Uh, at first, it was a direct adaptation of the story, which the story was written in like 2017, 2018. And then the script was written in 2020, something like that.
Okay.
The first iteration of it. And then that was, yeah, it was a straight adaptation, which is, um, more quiet and more about, the unsaid.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's, um, a little over the top, um, but it is based on a short story, and I've just kind of made it more what I want to write about right now. You
Okay.
know, um, it's like I think I am getting a little bit more into, what I like to write about in fiction in terms of screenwriting. I think I'm like meshing those two together now. I recently finished a script that is, there's no way I can get it anywhere. It is basically for me. Kurt read it and he liked it. He enjoyed it. I don't know if he liked it. He said it was fun,
Okay.
which is all I wanted from it. But it's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Um, but it's in a small Texas town, and it's it takes place basically in Heck, Texas.
Hmm.
So it's like, you know, my first book. It's in the universe of my first book. It's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but it's told from the perspective of a right-wing MAGA guy who realizes his entire town is turning into liberals. And so he's teaming up with the other MAGA people in the town, and it's like they're but one by one they're turning liberal, and he's, but it's really just, like me making fun of uh people,
Right.
and having a good time writing political satire.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So and and Mustard had stuff like that too, I remember. I remember we were talking about a particular scene um where the your character is yelling at somebody after like a
Hmm.
road rage incident, and you're like, oh yeah, that was like guerrilla filmed. I was having a bad day, sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and that sort of absurdism. I mean, there's a mustard monster in that movie. Can we expect to see something like that in SARA? As you said, you're kind of taking it more over the top. Is it that far over the top, or
No, it's more like um there's no mustard monster. I think it's just incredible feel bad dread involving a guy who believes a child wants to kill him.
mm,
And what this sort of cowardly dude is willing to do to like not have that happen. Um, I say it's over the top because the previous iteration is like, like the story, a stepdad, they're watching news footage of a car that has been in an accident, and the accident is that someone threw a rock off a bridge and it
mm,
went through the windshield and it went in the driver's mouth and killed him. And the stepdad sort of goes in her room, and she like runs off crying after watching the news, and the stepdad goes in the room and they're together alone, and she confesses that she's the one who threw the rock, and it's like and then it's like him having this terrible moment of like going, well, I like the family I have now. What am I going to do? I can't do anything. And then looking back on his childhood and like the weird thing he did. But like nothing really happens in it, it's just internal stuff. Whereas this is, very, this feel bad situation, this feel bad situation, this feel bad situation, and so it's just more straightforward, but it's over the top in that it's like a child, uh, you know, watching Russian uh, war videos of bodies being burned, and then instead of something, everyone thinks she's watching Peppa Pig and she's watching this shit. He walks in on her and she's watching this shit like it's the most mundane thing she's ever seen, has no emotional reaction to it, and uh that kind of over the top
I
sort of
gotcha.
thing.
Um, it's interesting that you said that he's a cowardly guy. Again, I guess that's kind of where I was getting at with talking about Tilda Swinton's character.
Hmm.
Um, uh, so yeah, like obviously Sarah's the eponymous character and doing the things that are creating the horror. But I am interested also in the sort of father character. Um, if you want to say anything more about him than you've already said.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's sort of like, he is a he's a guy who has found himself with someone who he loves and cares about, and they have a kid, and he's like, yeah, I can do this. And sort of a moment happens where it's like, this child and mother have been together for so long that the mother and child have sort of adapted this way of life that has been, child focused. And then the guy comes in and sort of like there's a moment that sort of doesn't break that, but bends it in a new direction that the child is not a fan of. And it's like, this like he thinks that's the moment she wanted to kill him kind of thing. And it's like, it's this sort of, I don't want to say he's a dumbass, but it is sort of like this dumbass fear, this dumbass feeling of you know being sort of coming in as an outsider to a situation and thinking that any resistance to it that you're creating is causing some kind of, I don't know, rift or whatever. But yeah, and I've got an I saw a film in South by Southwest called American Dollhouse, and there's a guy named Tynus who's in it. he's an I put his update on the him on the campaign in the updates. Um, he was also in the Pizzagate Massacre, which is they're made by the same guy,
Mm.
John Barney. And yeah, when I saw American Dollhouse, I saw him and I was like, that's my guy. And I reached out to him and he was like, yeah. And it was like the next day we were talking about this and then we were on the phone and he was like, let me read the script. And, he was like halfway through the first time reading it. I was like, I'm 100% in on this.
Nice.
Um, and so I'm, yeah, it's like for the first time I've seen someone and go, yeah, that's exactly what I was imagining. And then them going, yeah, I'll do this. Um, yeah, so he's, hopefully if this thing gets funded, well, I mean, I have a feeling it will, but if it gets funded, you'll get to see what I'm talking about with him and Brian. Brian is the stepdad's name, Brian.
I dig it. That's exciting. That's gotta feel good as a filmmaker to like see a person, you know, with your script in mind, see a person and say, yes, this is what I want. Like you hear about it all the time with like the big Hollywood movies where, you know, uh, Greta Gerwig writes Ken to be Ryan Gosling and he eventually says yes, sort of
Yeah.
thing. But like for something scrappier, like that's exciting. Um, which I guess we should dovetail right into like the sort of more technical stuff, like, um, you know, uh, how many days of filming are you trying to get done? How many pages is the script? You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, script's 19 pages.
Okay,
So it's a longer short, but I'm like, I feel good about it.
sure.
I've done my work in the short film arena. Can't really go into detail on what that means, but I've done my research, I've done my homework. I've seen over the last 5, 6 years the good and the bad and the fantastic, and I'm like, okay, there's no formula,
Mm-hmm.
but I know what I like
Yeah.
and I know what I don't like when I watch these. But there's been times where I'm like, yeah, I like this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's sort of like they always tell you don't do anything over 15 seconds or 15 minutes, or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And it's like, yeah, you can. It's probably not a good idea. And I'm like, I'm sort of breaking the thing that I do as well, which is like I say don't go over 15 minutes. A short film should be 11 minutes, or something like that. And I'm breaking it, but it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm stupid. But anyway, 19 pages.
It,
Sorry, I rambled there for a
that's
minute.
fine. I was gonna joke. Is it an Aaron Sorkin 19 pages or is it a David Lynch 19 pages?
It's
Because those are two
I
different
say,
lengths.
yeah. No, there's some. This is an odd thing to say. There's some sort of Nolan-esque. I don't like Christopher Nolan, but I think he's pretty good at condensing storytelling time via montage.
Mm,
And there's some Nolan-esque montage moments. So like there's like 3 pages in the script, but it's all overlapping moments.
yeah.
And so you know, some of it is quicker than it appears on the page, but some of it is a little longer because it is sort of like, you know, my plan is to shoot it almost all wide.
Interesting.
So only wide single takes, basically. Um, and the only time you get sort of a close up on someone is in bad moments.
Interesting.
So you would be watching essentially like not security footage, but it would be like there is no comfort in cutting away. You're having to sit there and watch this moment happen and play out, and what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so shooting days, I thought I needed 6, 5 is probably what it's going to be, but it could be done in four, I think. It is long-ish, but it's all in a house. It doesn't go anywhere else but a house. It's in one location. Um, you know, and again, it's just wide sort of single takes. There are going to be inserts here and there, but mostly wide single takes. And you know, so I feel like 4 days is good. Um, I
Okay.
feel confident about 4 days, but it's like plan for five just in case contingencies and all that stuff.
Right. I'm like I'm actively Googling things to try to contextualize things in my head. Patrick Willems's The Dinner Plan, which he just had a video about the making of, is 34 minutes, and I think he did that in 5 days.
Yeah.
And that had like a lot of stuff going on in it. Um, the Singers is 18 minutes for everybody
hmm
counting. Um, and I
Which, if you've never seen that one, I mean, that's like, I don't know. That is a top maybe two short film, top three short film of all time, maybe top five,
Interesting.
but
And
it was
it's on
fantastic.
Netflix apparently. So
Yep. Yep.
I'm seeing the clips. I like the way it's shot.
I do
Um,
too. Yeah.
I'll have to watch it. Um, that's the second like Netflix short thing in a while someone on the show has told me to watch. So they're really going to be earning their $27 a month or whatever the hell it is now.
hmm
Uh,
hmm
um,
Yeah.
so I suppose my rapid googling might indicate something that I feel like maybe other people are on board with, which is that even despite my best efforts, um, I sort of am. I want to say it in a way that doesn't make me sound as dumb as it sounds in my head, but like we are so used to features that I guess like it's hard to know what to do with a short film, right? Like
Oh yeah.
kind of in the same way that I like have a hard time with short stories even, and how when I was writing flash fiction ages ago I felt like it was just like as a way to try to get people interested in the novel I had. So it feels like maybe there's a cynical expectation for me at least of like, oh well, a short film is the prototype pilot episode version of like trying to get a feature made or something. Like I know like Whiplash has a short. Whiplash is the featureized version of a short or something like that. Um,
Correct. Yeah.
and like I'm not necessarily trying to place a value upon that judgment, especially considering that judgment may be entirely incorrect. Um, so like I don't know. Do you have an impassioned defense for the short film as a medium, as a form
No,
of
I find them very difficult,
okay.
and that's why I've never done one.
Mm,
I have two that I am pretty passionate about. Um, one of them is official selection at the Holly Shorts Comedy Festival going on here right now. Well, it's in May, but it was an official selection. It's the thing that I was like, I'm gonna make this before you know, Sarah was like, I was like, I'm gonna make this like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. I was like, I'm making this. Um, and then I was like, oh, I can't make this. And then um, this other one, which is called Buck, uh, I was like, okay, I can't make Sarah. I can make this. And then, I realized that that is infinitely more difficult than Sarah because it's like um 10 actors and, it's like an office
mm,
require more, whereas Sarah is three people.
Mm-hmm.
3 actors, one of which is in maybe 3 scenes, the other it's just Brian and Sarah, um but other than that, I've written short films, but they're all, they all feel like trolls to me.
Mm.
They don't feel like real short films. Like I had another one about a guy who, you know, uh, goes in for a colonoscopy, or like gets a colonoscopy scheduled and chugs all the like stuff that makes you, shit your brains out for the colonoscopy. And after he finishes chugging it all, he gets an invitation to, his favorite filmmaker is holding a screening. And the reason why this dude's getting a colonoscopy is he just got diagnosed with, terminal cancer. And it's like, no, you've probably got months, if that.
Mm.
And so he gets an invitation for his favorite filmmakers having a screening of his new movie, which won't come out for 6 months. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna die. I gotta go. And then the whole thing is, this guy trying not to shit his brains out in the middle of a movie theater, which is like, what is that? That's just me being a troll. And So it's like these feel like real shorts, but I've never been able to calculate a short or figure out a short or write a short. I just feel like that's not my wheelhouse at all. I'm like, a feature makes way more sense to me,
Mm-hmm.
the way it moves, the way it breathes, and all that. Whereas like a short is like, yeah, it's like it's never really made sense. But I do think, the idea that a short that some shorts are like proof of concept of both the story and the filmmaker, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, that's cool. That works. But I think that's actually what a kind of a short film is overall, is basically just like a proof of I can do this
Mm-hmm.
for someone, because there are filmmakers who are like, I'm going to just make short films.
Mm.
And, I think that that's, it's like the Raymond Carver of the film world, but it's like, I think a lot of people, a lot of filmmakers, I would say most, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say a lot of filmmakers make a short film to show what they can do so that they can make a feature.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my sort of stepping stone of, I say it in the Indiegogo that there's I say this is the first step in a path. It's like I have this, I have another thing, then I have a bigger thing, and then I have a big thing. And it's like I'm trying to, make SARA, to then make this other thing, to then make the bigger thing, to then make the big thing that I want to make.
Okay, I gotcha. Um, and I appreciate that. Like, because we got mustard, so now we're sort of like dialing it back, focusing in, doing the thing, and it's the people who have read your work and seen mustard who are, you know, gonna rally behind you to make SARA happen. Um, and you've had feature length scripts like win awards and stuff. We talked about that a little bit before, right?
Correct.
Remind me what that's all about. What you got going on
Yeah,
there?
I've had some feature scripts do well in contests and fellowships and things like that. You know, they've they've done things. They've I don't know how to phrase it, but it's like, yeah, they've gotten recognition for being, I don't know, good, I guess.
Yeah.
Um but some of them are wins and some of them are near wins. And some of the near wins are, I guess, more impactful than others. But yeah.
I dig it. I really want to. I want to end with what I'm very excited about. You talking about you teased the visual language of shooting mostly wide. I remember years ago, I saw a short video essay about like a Japanese director who did a lot of that, where he had like really deep focus and just kind of like sat the camera down so that you're like looking into a room and it plays out and there's not a lot of moves. Um, and God help me, there's no way I'm going to remember his name or be able to Google it real quick. But so I thought about that, and then I also thought about the really long scene in Funny Games where the mother's just like sitting, taking in what has just happened to her child. And I imagine it's more like the Funny Games end of that spectrum.
Yeah, my sort of like hard pitch, or the hard coded comp in the pitch is Haneke.
Okay.
You know, to a degree. It is like the sort of like cruel coldness of that. But I mean, I couldn't do that. It would be, more be more stylized, but it is sort of like that same vibe,
Mm-hmm.
that same, a little bit of, Yorgos, and a little bit of Haneke, and a little bit of, you know, Ari Aster, um, in these sort of like things where you have to sit there and deal with not feeling well when you're watching it, which I enjoy. I think horror to me, because this is a horror short to me, and I think horror to me is about feeling bad, not feeling scared. Um, which is why I like Hereditary so much. Hereditary has some good freak out moments, and kind of creepy, scary moments. But overall, the horror is the just feeling absolutely terrible while watching the movie. Um, Uncut Gems is a horror movie to me. Um, and I have my theory. Someone can, I don't know. I don't know. Someone cannot freely take this, but I'll probably never write a paper on it. But that Uncut Gems is actually a sort of loose remake of The Exorcist.